Hello and welcome back. This is our last video with regard to buttons, and I'm going to show you some other features that buttons can do. So have a look at this one first of all. When I click, you'll see that this button gets dimmer and dimmer until it completely disappears. And then when I move my cursor out and away from this button, it will come back. This one here we are familiar with. I'm going to click on this button and it's going to take me to a frame where there are some squiggly lines. But again, I can move my cursor out and away from this button and it will immediately disappear. And this one is my favorite. This one does a hyperlink. So when I click on this button, what will happen is it will take me to a website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the code. There will be a hard copy piece of paper that can be given to you as well, but I'm just going to go through and explain what you are seeing, and then I'd like you to copy this code in so you've got these buttons as well. So let's get started. What we have here is a rather interesting timeline. There are only frame 1 and frame 2. Because with this G, which had the squiggly lines, that information is there. We don't need anything else. So let's go and have a look at the code. So we want action frame 1, function F9 or window actions. Okay, so we're going to take one at a time. Now this is button R, and this is the one that would fade out when we clicked. So you're going to need stop because it's going to stop on the first frame, and what should happen is that animate will bring in these two libraries. This one we're familiar with about the mouse event, so we have lots of extra code to help us have these mouse events, and we have code brought in so that we can actually click on the button and it will take us to a web page. So button R is the one where we click and it gets dimmer. Now we have two event listeners, one for the clicking and one for moving the cursor out and away from the button. When we right click, we are taken to this function R click, and as we click button R, you'll see we have a minus equals 0.1. So as we click, it gets dimmer by 1/10, and so we can click 10 times and it would the image would disappear completely. However, when we move our mouse out, well then that's going to call this function called R out, and there's no information coming back, but what happens is that whatever the alpha is, it's restored to 100%. And you'll remember with alpha that was like with the shadow with the head and how we could play with it. This is done using code. Okay, so let's get on to button G. Now we should be familiar with this bit. So button G, we're listening, it's going to click, we're going to go to a function called gclick, and we're going to go and stop on the frame, which is frame 2, and we've named it get jargon. And so once we're on there, we'll see those squiggles. What's new is when we move out from that button, we're going to go to a different function called gout. And here we go to function gout, and this time it's going to go and stop at frame 1. So here we have some text, but here we have a number, and so we go and stop at frame 1. Finally, we have our URL button, and so what we have button B. It's listening out to a click event. When it's clicked, it's going to go to function B click. And this is what it's going to do. This is what you need to do. It's going to navigate to a URL, to a website, and we need to put in what the website is. And so we write it like this. We say new URL request, and then in brackets we put the full web address, and then we have a comma, and then we want to see how that web address is going to be displayed on our computer. And so we put blank here because it's going to open up in a separate window. And then of course for all of these functions we have two brackets. We make sure we've got a closed one in there. You can of course put your own website in, okay, whatever your website address is, you can do that. So for this challenge is I want you to make this code, write it down, and make sure that each of these buttons do what I have shown you they should be doing from the little demonstration at the beginning of this clip. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next set of videos. Bye bye.